Can you explain how you would reverse that trend and use specific examples of programs you would cut? Mr. Oliva.
Thank you, Jim. Deficit spending obviously is way out of control. In the United States, it's going to be well over $400 billion again, and we have a national debt of $9+ trillion, which we all know is weighing heavily on all of our shoulders, the taxpayers' shoulders. So, I think it comes back to financial literacy, folks, and I think it comes back to budgeting the books. I mean, if you're if you're spending more than you're taking in, then that's not good policy. It's not sound policy. So what are some areas in which I would make cuts? Definitely the IRS, as Bob mentioned earlier, 67,000-page Isle of Muck, Dan. We spent we'll spend $225 billion with a B dollars this year just filing the paperwork, Jim. So there's one area we can cut out. I would also be in favor of looking at cutting other departments, such as the federal department, the Department of Education, federal level. There are many areas that we look at to cut spending, but it comes down to this. It comes down to good fiscal management. And when I'm elected to Congress, I will pledge to be a fiscal hawk and to get back to our good conservative practices of not spending more than we take in. It comes down to good old economics 101. Keep the checkbook balanced.
Thank you.
Well, thank you. Let me tell you one way I would not go about balancing the budget. And that's the way liberals in Washington want to do it, which is by massively raising our taxes. By ending the 01 and 03 tax cuts, Washington liberals will increase our taxes by over $1 trillion, thousands of dollars per family per year. And then Senator Lieberman, Barbara Boxer proposed to raise energy taxes by $1.2 trillion per year over 10 years. No, if we're going to balance our budget, we're going to do it by policies that encourage economic growth, and then we can grow our way out of it if we have the will to restrain federal spending. And how do we do that? Well, by one thing, by comprehensive earmark reform, by line item veto, and by just looking at every line and containing spending. You know, I remember over the years, many times you hear about budget cuts. Almost never at the federal level is there really a budget cut. In all honesty, it's usually a slowing of the rate of increase that congressional liberals wanted to spend on those government programs. Now we have to contain spending. And by fostering economic growth and pro-business, pro-employer, pro-worker economic policies, we can grow our way out of the deficit. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Bush.
We mentioned one way already is getting rid of earmarks. Totally get rid of them. If there's a good bill, if the University of Missouri needs something, let's put it in a bill and let's get it for them. Let's fight for it. And every other thing too. No earmarks. They're totally gone. I would do away with the Federal Department of Education. I don't think we need it. I don't understand why we have it. I don't know what its purpose is. That needs to be at the state level. And even more importantly, at the local level. If you want your kids to have good schools, go down to the school board meeting and fight for them and get good education for your kids. We don't need somebody in Washington, D.C. telling us how to spend our money. And who knows how many hundreds of thousands of dollars just go to keep that department going, shuffling papers. And I would end all foreign aid. Our liberal counterparts tell us that the rest of the world hates us. Well, if they hate us with us giving them money, why not let them hate us without us giving them any money? And I would totally end that. My wife keeps cringing because I am not a politician. I am just a guy that thinks about stuff. I'm a guy that sits around with my buddies and think, and we come up with ideas that I keep hearing from both sides of the aisle. It's going to take a long time to take care of this. No, it wouldn't. Right now, Don't write that check to Chile, to Argentina, to Britain. Don't write that check to them. And how much money do we have? Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Lukenmeyer?
Thank you, Jim. I think deficit spending at the federal level is causing us a lot of problems. One of the problems, though, the reason we're in deficit spending, well, there's a number of problems. One of them is our war on terror. And I think it's one of the situations that we have to take a look at and sort of have an off-budget type approach to that. I think the balance of the budget needs to be able to be balanced. Here in Missouri, we have a balanced budget statute that says our budget has to be balanced. When I was in the House back in 1998 to 2005, we brought the governor to his knees and forced him to make cuts instead of raising their taxes. And I think that's what we have to do in Washington, is start prioritizing. Under President Blunt, we now have a balanced budget and a surplus. We can do it. It takes willpower, it takes effort, it takes a prioritization of how you want to spend those dollars. And again, it goes back to the mindset that the dollars in your pocket are Washington's dollars, but not your dollars. That's the problem we have to get over and get those people in Washington to realize by all of us here in this room saying, no, it's not. It's our money. You want to keep it and you spend it more wisely. I would support the line item veto. I think that that's a good place to start, giving the president the ability to trim the budget where he feels it can be trimmed. Somebody's got to take authority, somebody's got to take responsibility. It's a good place to do that at the federal level from the standpoint it works for us at the state and works at the federal level as well. But again, I think when you start looking at the federal budget, don't be misled by the fact that we have a deficit from time to time. Part of it is due to the defense of our country, which is the priority of this government that we have, is to defend our country and present and defend the country and allow us to be able to take advantage of all these wonderful opportunities we have to live in this great country in peace. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. The line item veto and performance-based budgeting and all those things put together with the experience that I've had in the last 8 years dealing with a mega budget and the state level prepares me to go fight for that, work for that at the federal level. But my feeling about the national debt, I have another way that I would approach it, and that is one of the ways that we approach it at the state level, and that is to pass business-friendly legislation. We have gone from a deficit, in Missouri to surplus in Missouri because of passing business-friendly legislation. We have brought business back into Missouri because of that. And we can bring business back into the United States if we do the same. However, I believe the immediate thing we need to do to work our way out of the budget deficit is to build nuclear power plants starting today, oil refineries starting today, drill offshore starting today, drill in Anwar starting today, and develop alternative energy resources. That will pump more money into our federal budget than you can imagine. We are about to, in the next 3 years, if all goes well, build a second nuclear power plant in Callaway County. And it's going to be one of the biggest boons for our state and, of course, my district that I represent right now, just because we're building a nuclear power plant. Think if we would have the resolve to do all of that in our nation, the money that would be pumped into our nation, that we could work our way out of the deficit very quickly. I'm going to work toward that. You can count on it.